So I'm assuming we're up and running now.
I'm assuming we can test it on here and see if we can pull it up.
Well, I'm trying to get out of it.
I think
It should
looks like it, huh?
Yeah, but it should say live somewhere.
Well, it does. We're down here.
Okay.
All right, we think we're live now. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
That remote. Second.
Unless you come to public.
I ain't in the house, eh?
He's gonna be on YouTube with the dirty white boy, the rage wall, you can tell me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're live.
Well, he might need to get back to you.
Oh, look at that. Oh, no.
Yeah, but are we live right now?
It says
It
live.
says live, but there's no stream.
One rock.
Look
Is it working?
Click back on YouTube, maybe.
Well, I don't know if we're working or not, but if over at
It says one watching.
Miss Kim is over at South Point. If you can't see me over there, it is kind of ridiculous. I'm saying if you can't see me over there, give me a call.
There you go.
There we go. Look to see me. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about spirituality in recovery and how important that is, and how to go about that, and how to be about that. So we have an angel on the board up here. And the reason we have an angel on the board up here is to show you what none of us look like, right? So we're going to go through this, and we're going to look at some stuff. We're going to be going through our book. This week is the third week of the book, and we were supposed to be looking at spirituality in recovery. So is spirituality an important factor in recovery?
Yes, it is.
You think so? Can you get into recovery without spirituality?
Yeah, you can learn it.
Look, there's always outliers, right?
Yeah.
There's always exceptions to every rule. If you shoot yourself in the head with a .45 pistol, will it kill you?
Sometimes.
Well, most of the time, yeah, it's a pretty good idea that if you don't do that. Don't check that out. Don't do that. But I do know a guy who did that and lived.
Yes.
Now, he's not living well, but he lived, okay? So it's not a good idea to do that. So you can get into recovery without spirituality, but I will tell you that it is a harder thing to do, and it's not everybody that can do that. So we need to learn what spirituality is. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at it today. I've come up with a little thing that I did, and I'm going to share that with you today. Make sure that you have signed in on the signing in sheet that is so wonderfully supplied to you free of charge. Because if you don't get your name on there, you're not going to get credit for the group. I'm not going to know if you were here, if you were not here, or all of those things. So make sure we have two sheets. One of them is for HHSA, and the other is for TAP. All right? So y'all sign it out. You guys at South, you guys signed that as well. And we're going to start looking on page 44 of your workbook. So here's the deal. How many people in this class over here at North do not have a workbook? Perfect. I have some workbooks for you. And if you will come up, somebody come up, grab those, make sure. We're on 44. Now these books that I just handed you, they're a little bit awkward because they have these big old connectors on them, but that's all that I had. The next ones will be better than that, but We want to make sure that the day you come in here, we get you a book, because we are working through the book. And we're going to work through the book, and then once we're finished working through the book, that's what we're going to do. Somebody tell me, give me an idea. Once we finish working through the book, what are we going to do?
Review it.
We're going to go back through the book. Because by that time, perhaps we'll have some new people who've never seen the book. And so we want everybody to figure out what's going on in the book and how to use the book and what the book is all about and all that. So on week 3, we're looking at spirituality, and I want to read this, and then we're going to go and we're going to look at some other things about spirituality.
Is this book ours?
Ma'am, say it again.
Is this book ours?
It is yours.
Okay.
Before you leave, the books belong to you, and before you leave, we will be collecting $20 for the book. Not really. The books are for you. So, you take the book, take it off, put your name in it, take some ink and put your fingerprints on there. Take a picture of yourself, tape that on but that's your book. Take that home. And look, it would not be a bad idea to every now and then look at that. When I was working in the prison system, we used to go up to the holiday unit because we released a lot of people from the holiday unit. And you know how hard it is to get Bibles and Qurans and stuff like that for people. It's not all that hard. Because when they leave the prison, we had one barrel for Bibles and one barrel for the Qurans, and they would throw, and we just go and empty the barrels and give them to the next group of men who came in. So don't do that with the book. You don't have to read it every day, but you need to put it on a shelf, and when you need to go back through the book, go back through the book. There's some really good stuff in here, and it will help you when we get down to the place where things are getting a little bit touchy. And they will. We can pull the book out and take a look at it. And go back to page 44 and look at spirituality. Now, loss, trauma, tragedy, a lot of things have scarred us, and they can be a central reason for our addiction, right? A lot of the times when I was using to get rid of some of the things I didn't want in my life. I didn't want some of those things that I could remember when I was a kid. My dad was a professional man. He was a professional crook, and he got caught a lot. He wasn't all that good at it. They caught him. So he was in prison most of my life, and then my mom was a practicing witch. She did things like make spells. And she and her group would go down to the creek and eat dirt.
What?
They were a coven of dirt eaters. Yeah. So even though my little brother and I sometimes may have gone hungry, Mama never did because Mama could eat dirt. That was a good thing. So spirituality, there's some things in the back of my mind that I don't want to come to the fore of my mind. Because I will tell you this, that some of the stuff that happened to me in my childhood would mess up my recovery. It messed up me, and I got into the use of drugs and alcohol because of some of them. Now, I'm not going to blame my childhood on my stupidity. I'm not going to do that. I did that all myself, right? Yes. Every time I took a drink, that was me. Every time I took a hit, that was me. Every time I took a pill, that was me. It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't my mama. It wasn't my dad. That was me. I did all that. So now I'm doing all this, right? So that I'm staying sober. One of the big things is spirituality. And one of the big things that we need to get a hold of this morning, we need to do it this morning before we leave this group is what?
Okay.
What's that?
I'm sorry, repeat that. What you say?
What'd you ask?
I zoned out.
Y'all have to remember, I left my ears at home this morning, so I'm going to have to read lips just about. But the mainest thing we're going to have to do this morning is have another drink of coffee before it gets cold.
There we go. Yeah, Markley.
But look what this book does for us. It's a really good thing. This study is a really, really good thing. I took a study of this. I have some studies that I have put together myself. I'm a pastor. I'm really into spiritual things. I'm a Christian. I am not into religion. because religion kills people. Religion will pull you away and make you do things. Yeah, I'm into a relationship with Jesus. That's who I am. So that's what we need to know. That's what I know about me. So what we need to know about everybody in the room is where we are in that spiritual journey. Now, no one is saying you have to be a Christian. No one is saying you have to be a Muslim. No one is saying you have to be anything. What we're saying is that there is a level of spirituality that we're all operating in, and we need to know where that is. So if you have your book, if you move it over to page 45, there's not a page number on there. But if you can extrapolate from page 44, the next page would be
45.
45. You guys are brilliant. You just look at that. So on 45, it tells you this. Look, there are 3 different options on here that we can take a look at. We need to set ourselves under one of those options. We need to know who we are when it comes to spirituality. Okay, and here's the deal. I don't have to be just like the person sitting next to me, right? My idea of spirituality and how that works in my life and how that works in my recovery is up to who? It's up to me. It's up to me, absolutely. So whatever the person that feels, and here's the other thing. If the person next to you feels this way, or do you have the right or the obligation to look down on them? No. You're going to judge those people? No. You're not going to do any of that. That, again, is their business, right? Right. And so there's some people that don't like other people because those people don't think the same way those people think. Does that make any sense at all? It happens just like that every day, but... So the first one is, look, these are what's called, what are they called over here? Quick assignments. But it doesn't mean that you have to do, a three-page outline on it, a 3-page essay on it. But it says you need to write a little bit of something about it. Why are we doing that again?
To know yourself.
Yeah, to know yourself, to know your soul, to know where you are, to know spiritually where you are in this journey. I need to know exactly where I am and what I believe. Does it make any difference what somebody else in the room believes?
Everybody's recovery is different.
Everybody's recovery is different. Everybody's spiritual walk is different. And, I'm a pastor as well, and I have a small church that I pastor. And in that church, we have several different ideas. We have several different people on several different levels of spirituality, and yet we manage to work things out together. And so we can do the same thing here. So the very first one is that, here's the deal, option A. And so you need to do if you're at option A, you need to do an assignment on it. Is it a good thing that you're at option A?
Yes. Yeah. Start.
It can be. It doesn't necessarily have to be. The good thing is that you know that you're at option A. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you to a place where you know that you're at option A. Okay? And so what option A says, you currently have some form of acceptance for spiritual life. Not necessarily are you this type of spiritual person, but you have some idea that there is a spiritual life out there. There's somebody, have y'all ever been to the AA group or the NA group or the CWA group or any of those other groups? If you've been to any of those groups, what are we looking for?
Savior. A higher power.
A higher power, yeah. I'm looking for a bunch of things when I go to my AA group. I'm looking for a little bit of help in my journey, a little bit of help in getting me where I want to be. I'm looking for the coffee pot.
And it's good to hear.
I want to know.
Good to hear other people's recovery.
Absolutely, that's absolutely. If you didn't hear that, she said to hear other people's stories. I want to hear about their journey. I want to hear about how they're walking through their recovery.
Be optimistic.
Say it again.
I say, and be optimistic about it.
And be optimistic about that. Yeah, I want to get to the place where I'm optimistic. Look, if you can, I can.
Right.
That's a big deal. The other thing that we're looking for when we go there is
Emotional support, peer support.
say that again.
Peer support.
Peer support. Yeah, because we want to get those people to support us in our walk. And we want to support them in their walk. But one of the things, and somebody already said it, one of the things that we're looking for there is a higher power. What is the higher power's name?
Jesus Christ.
Whatever higher power you have.
Oh, they don't have a name. It's a higher power. You know, we're not asking you to name the higher power. We're just, you have to have, why do you want to do that?
It helps in your recovery.
It does help in your recovery. It's a good thing to know and to believe that there is a power greater than you. Yeah. You know, as an addict, I'm real self-absorbed. You know, I mean, man, why do you use that? I like it. Why do you do that? I like doing it. Why do you go to those places? I like that music. I like those people. I like that. You know, I'm real self-absorbed. And when I decide, you know what? I need to get sober. I need to get free from all of this stuff. I need to make a serious change in my life. When I did that 7 different times, and when I did it, the first 4 times, it was all me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So I quit, and I said, I ain't never going to do that again. Then when I did it again, right, I did the same thing, because I tell you, at that point, I didn't believe that there was a power greater than myself, because I'm pretty good. I'm rich, young, good looking. You know, I'm pretty good. You know, I thought, hey, if anybody can do it,
You can.
I can do it. I can do it. I found out pretty quickly that it was a better thing to do it with some help, to do it with a group, to do it with a higher power, to do it with a group of people who wanted to help me do it other than my wife or my children. Somebody that was, you know, I didn't know, but who knew what I was going through and wanted to help me. And then a higher power that was greater than myself. Because here's the deal. If I run into something that I personally can't deal with, I need a higher power, right? I need somebody in my life that can. This morning, I'm trying to get all this on. I hadn't done it in a couple of days. And I'm going to tell you, I have a hole here in my ear, and all of that knowledge just runs right out. You know, my boss lady showed me exactly how to do it. We wrote it down. It worked perfectly. And we got it to work this morning. But I couldn't quite, and so I had to get 2 higher powers, right? Had to get 2 ladies come up and say, well, push this button, dummy. You know. And one of them sitting over there looking at me like, yeah, right. Okay. So here's the deal. I want you to write a full page, 2-page paper, a page or 2, answering these questions if you already have an established belief system. I have an established belief system. I don't think there would be any problem at all for me to write 2 pages about my belief system. I could write 10 pages about my belief system. I write something about my belief system every Wednesday night and every Sunday morning. And then I tell a bunch of people. Every Wednesday night and every Sunday morning, I'm writing about my belief system. So if you do believe in a higher power of any ilk at all, then you need to be able to write at least a page about that, right? I think. So it says, look, when did you first? It gives you the questions here to go over. Is it healthy to ask a few questions? Yes, it is. Here, when did I first start believing? Whatever my belief system is, when did I first start believing?
When you accepted that you're powerless.
Oh, that's a good point. When I accepted that I by myself am powerless. But I can pinpoint the exact moment that I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I can pinpoint that exact moment. Friday at 2 o'clock. Now I can remember when I made the decision. It was years ago, and I'm glad that I did. I've been in the ministry now for 43 years. So who taught me to believe? Was it a person, or did it evolve through personal experience? What happened?
Evolved by personal experience.
I learned it from my parents.
Okay, that's a good thing. People around me helped lead me to a place where I believed, what I believe. My parents, other people. I had some trauma happen in my life, and as that trauma passed by me, I was sitting down, and I just realized that 3 seconds ago I could have died, should have died, didn't. And so at that point in time, I said, okay, somebody saved me, and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So that's a real good point. So, what would it be? What would it mean to change my mind on the issue?
You have your own beliefs.
See, yeah, I don't see why you would have to change your mind if it's what you believe in.
Okay. She said if it's what you believe in, if it's what you really believe in, there's no good reason to change your mind. But if something happened to change your mind, then that would mess up a lot of stuff in my life. I've changed my mind a lot. I've changed my mind about this and about that, about this. I haven't yet changed my mind. I don't intend to change my mind about my spirituality. I'm not going to do that. I don't believe that's ever going to happen. But if it did, I believe my sobriety would go down to because there are still things, even after years of being sober, that cause me to want to use. But there's a higher power that I can go to who helps me get away from that. If I change my mind about the higher power, if I change my mind about my spiritual journey, then at that point my journey is going to change direction. Because I believe in my believer. I don't know this because that's an unknowable. You can't know. But if I did, I think that I would go back because that was my coping skill. That was my lover. That was my friend. That was my God. And so if I gave up on the real God, I would wind up with the false God that I'd go back to. That's me. I don't know what would happen in your life, but that's where I would go. So it says, who would any change in your spiritual belief impact?
Just yourself.
Well, it would if I changed my mind, if my spirituality changed and I decided none of that was true, it would impact me really hard. It would also impact my wife.
Yeah.
It would impact my church. It would impact my children. It would impact a lot of people. It would even impact society. Because I have my DWI. I know that's a shocker. I know y'all don't believe it. But it's true. I have those. I'll be back out on the road, drinking and driving. Love to do that. It's just, for me, it was fun. I would eat a sausage. There was a place where you could buy a sausage with a biscuit stuck on top of it. And that was years and years and years ago now. Look, they probably don't, they were probably so nasty that they don't allow that to be sold anymore. But, I would be out drinking vodka and eating those things. I'd be back doing something like that. So society would be at risk. I would run over you. Back then I was a danger to you, to your children, to society itself. So it would not just, I've had so many people down through the years tell me, well, I'm not going to quit. So, well, you don't have to. They say, because it's my life. And I'm the only one being affected. No, you're not. No, you are not. No, you are not. Everybody around you being affected. Your children being affected by it. Your parents being affected. Everybody you know is being affected by it. Society's being. You're affecting everybody. So it's not just you. It's not just us. Right? We're messing with a whole lot of people. Have you ever discussed your belief with someone knowledgeable in similar beliefs.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have. I do that all the time. It's just what I do. That's what I do. I make it a point in my life not to go into any situation. And some situations have been a little bit hairy, but I've never been in any situation. I make it a point that when I go into that situation, people know first I'm a Christian. And then after that, I'm a pastor. So, because being a pastor doesn't make me any more of a Christian than being a Christian, but I let people know who I am, where I stand. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay. You don't have to. I'm not telling you. I'm telling you what I am, who I am, and what I believe. I let everybody. You guys knew that first day I was in here, because I just it's easy to do. I just hey, I'm a Christian. How about you? Yeah. Tell people that you don't have to. You don't supposed to say yes, you are. So that's who I am. So I do discuss my beliefs with
other people.
Other people. Yeah. What other people can you discuss your beliefs with?
Your friends,
your
family,
your church members, your group members, your AA group. You can discuss all that stuff. And we should be discussing. There may be somebody out there that is seeking a higher power and doesn't know how to receive a higher power, and you can be that higher power. What do you feel about the idea that, AA, NA, and all of, they say, look, the group can be your higher power. How's that work? It does work, because this group, there's a whole bunch of you in here. This group is more powerful than I am by myself, right? So that can be your higher power. What about the doorknob? They say the doorknob can be your higher power.
Anything can be your higher power.
Is that silly?
It sounds silly, but...
It sounds silly. But as long as we have something, one of my best friends in the world, I was telling people, hey, that doorknob thing is silly. He said, don't be telling people that, because 10 years before I got a real higher power, I used the doorknob as my, just something that's an idea that something is more than I am.
Just what they say in recovery.
That's what that's about. Say it again.
So that's just what they say in recovery.
Yeah, sure. Just that idea that something is greater than I am. So I had a guy tell me one time, the doorknob doesn't do anything. Is that true?
No. It opens
It opens the door. It'll lock the door. It does all sorts of things.
The 3 steps to AA. Well, I'm reading the Christian 12 steps to ministry, and then actually step 1, it says, I admit that by myself, without Jesus, I'm powerless over my addiction, that my life has become unmanageable. And the second one is, I came to believe that a power greater than myself, Jesus Christ, could restore my sanity. And number 3 is, I made a decision to turn my will in my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. So it's basically spiritual, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. We get to a place where we believe there's a power that's greater than we are, and then we turn our lives and our wills over to that power. That's why I don't like the group as my higher power. That's why I like the Lord Jesus as my higher power, because I know the groups pretty much, and if I'm using the group as my higher power, then, it says I have to turn my life and my will over to my higher power, and you guys would want my car key. Because, my life is in your hands. And so,
let me borrow your phone, Dr. Garner.
So, have I ever discussed my belief with somebody who disagrees with my belief?
Yes, everyone has their own opinion.
Yes, they do. And is that okay?
Yes, that is okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I happen to believe that my way is the only way. That's what the book that I followed tells me. My way is the only way. But is it okay for you to believe another way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have freedom of religion.
You do. That's why, like she said, that's why we have freedom of religion here. Did y'all ever watch Peanuts?
The Snoopy.
The Peanuts thing. And Linus, what is Linus doing?
Get dirty.
What's he doing?
She said getting dirty.
Linus is sitting in the pumpkin patch, waiting. Everybody else is doing other stuff. He's waiting on the great pumpkin. Now, is it okay for Linus to believe in the great pumpkin?
Yes.
Absolutely. That's his higher power. Does the great pumpkin ever come by and give him pumpkin gifts? Not so far. Not so far. But this year around Christmas time, he's going to be in the pumpkin patch, isn't he? Yeah. And is that okay for him to believe in the great pumpkin?
Yes, that is
It is. That's his higher power. That's okay. I may go by there one day and try to explain things to him a little bit, but, that's up to him. So how does my belief system help me or hurt me in my recovery? How does it help me or hurt me?
It can help you because. Oh wait. Oh well, I mean, it can.
No matter what happens in my life, no matter if I relapse, if people hate my guts, and there are people out there that do, no matter what happens in my life, I have somebody to go to.
Right.
I have someone that I know cares about whatever is going on in my life. And that's a big deal, isn't it? How many folks have friends that you can go to? Whenever you have an issue, whenever you have anything going on, you can go to that friend. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I have people like that. I can go to those people whenever I need to go to them. So it's good to have somebody, and it's good to have a power that's greater than yourself. That no matter, because look, some of the stuff that goes on in my life, I can't deal with. I can't deal with some of that stuff. And I have to take that to somebody greater than myself. So it's important to have it, because if you don't have somebody greater than yourself, you won't have anybody that you can go to.
You won't believe in. That's just like believing in a higher power. You need somebody to motivate you to do better.
Absolutely, that's a good point. I need people to motivate me, and I have people to motivate me. I have people to motivate me to do the right thing. I have other people that will motivate me to go the other way. And those people I stay away from. I know if I go, y'all know who Charlie Webb is?
Yeah.
Do you? Who's Charlie Webb?
Wait.
Did you say Charlotte Webb or?
No, not Charlie
That's
Webb.
what I thought you said.
Charlie Webb. You know who that is?
Isn't it to do with the? No, I'm not gonna go.
No, Charlie Webb was my drinking buddy back when I was in high school. So I'm not totally surprised that you don't know him. But, I love Charlie. Charlie's a wonderful guy. We used to hang out together. We were greasers back in high school. I know y'all don't know what that is. We rode little bitty motorcycles, and our hair was greased back and wore leather jackets.
Yeah.
We were the only two in our high school. Everybody else was hayseeds, wore overalls and all that stuff. They beat us up regularly. It's what they did. Hey, it's time to whoop them. And they did, and all of that kind of stuff. But Charlie, I love Charlie, but I can't go back and deal with Charlie because he was my drinking buddy. So he's one of those people who would lead me in the wrong direction. Here's the thing that's really, really, really good about my higher power. He's never going to lead me in the wrong direction.
Nope.
Never going to lead me to go do something that's going to be bad for me. Never going to lead me to do something that's bad for other people. How can my belief system, how can my belief in a higher power hurt my recovery?
Wait, what'd you say?
If you shy away from it.
Yeah, if my higher power is not someone who is positive, not someone who is supportive, then that higher power can hurt me.
Yes.
So we want to have a higher power that, look, it's important for us to check it out, right? To check out who my higher power. And once I get that, okay, I do. You have some form of acceptance. That's option A. And if you flip the thing over, it shows us option B. Yeah, isn't that neat? Just right along the way it's supposed to. You see how the book is laid out just perfectly. Option B says, look, and again, I want you to come up with a little bit of a thing, maybe do a one-page thing on this. If this is where you are, and there's a lot of people here, you can accept the idea of spirituality, but you have no direction in it. You know, you're not a church goer, and you don't believe this and you don't believe that, but you believe there may be something to it, because you just don't know. Nobody's convinced you yet. That higher power, whoever that higher power might be, has not convinced you yet, right? And you haven't heard enough, learned enough, know enough about that spiritual higher power that you want to go in that direction. So there may be something there that's bigger and greater than yourself, but you're not headed in that direction yet. Right? A lot of people in that situation. Some people do not have any type of belief system at all. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it.
There's a lot of people that believe that there may be something to it, but they haven't really embraced it at this point. They say, look, they don't have an organized view of spirituality. They're commonly referred to as agnostic. What does that mean? That just means God has not proved himself to me. He may be there, but he hasn't proved himself to me. I haven't seen him do anything miraculous, or I haven't been healed of a really bad disease, or nothing like that has happened to me. So it really is a state of indifference. And that just means, okay, there may be, there may not be. I'm not going to worry about it. Same as an atheist, not quite the same as an atheist, which believes that there's no God at all, or God doesn't exist. Agnostic said there may be. I just haven't run into it yet. So we want you to write a full page on if you're on the fence. Y'all know what on the fence means, right?
In the middle, not sure.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like, we talk about ambivalence all the time, and ambivalence means, I can see some good for it, and then there's some things bad for it. And if we're spiritually ambivalent, that means that, okay, I don't know how much I believe in it, what good there is to it, and I don't know if I don't believe it. There, it could be, and it may not be. So how certain are you that there's no God?
Yeah, because you can't believe that there's, you can worship the devil and not believe that there's a heaven and hell and not a God.
Right.
Just make no
Right.
sense.
Right. Well, we need to know how certain we are. If we just believe that there just really is no God, we need to know that. We need to know how certain we are about that. Is there no higher power? And this person's kind of ambivalent. They can be, and they can't be. So, do you ever struggle with the idea that everything came from nothing?
Nope.
If yes or no, where do you believe our existence came from?
Aliens. No.
Say it again.
I said aliens, I guess. That's what some people say. They think we came from aliens.
We came from alien. Okay. All right.
I'll be green. Lime green.
We came from little green men. Okay.
They're not all green though.
Some of them are lime green.
Some of them were lime green. Okay.
Can I get a workbook? Do you have an extra one?
Yes, ma'am. I'll get you one today. I have to make some more.
Thank you.
So, some people do believe we came from alien. I personally don't believe that. I believe that God created the world. That's what I believe.
I do too. I was just trying to go off on something else.
You just want to get some discussion started.
Yeah.
And There are people out there that believe all kind of weird stuff, but if you believe that the world was created by aliens and you didn't have a higher power, could you not believe that the aliens are your higher power?
It could be your higher power.
Anything can be your higher power. So your higher power is the little green guy. Okay.
Well,
You know, as long as that helps you, if you believe positively and all of that kind of stuff, you know it's going to work out for you. Are you open-minded toward things of a spiritual nature? See, are you willing to take a look? Maybe it was an alien. Maybe we didn't just happen by chance. There's an old saying that if you put 1,000 monkeys in a room with typewriters, that over a period of time they will write the great American novel. Is that true?
Nope.
No.
I don't think so.
No, that's not going to happen. No, that's not going to happen. So I don't believe that all of this stuff, that if you take the moon and move it a few inches one way or the other, the earth burns up. If you move the earth a few inches, it will burn up or freeze. Everything is exactly where it's supposed to be, and chance just can't do that, I don't believe. So if you're open-minded, you take a look. If you're open-minded, you look both ways. Right? You look both ways. Open-minded. Checking the clock. How many more minutes can he go? It's going to be all right. We got 15 minutes till break time. What can you do to help guide your search for spiritual meaning?
You can be open-minded.
Yeah, be open-minded. Go take a look.
Yeah.
Go take a look.
Search for it.
How many folks like the new electric vehicle?
No.
Those things scare me.
I like them, but I didn't like one until I got in it.
She sees that? You hear that? She said she didn't like them until she got in one, and then decided I like it. Yeah. I have never been in an electric vehicle.
Really?
You know those Teslas? I wasn't scared of them, but I watched this movie where all the Teslas
Leave the world behind.
drove themselves, and
Yeah.
they started all crashing into each other and stuff. And I was like, I will never know.
Now, I have never been in an electric vehicle, but I don't want an electric vehicle, and I'm not really willing to go get in one because I'm scared it'll lock and won't let me out. But what does that show you? I'm not willing to go take and research what that is. Anything, especially if we're afraid of it, we should go and research it a little bit, and it may change. It may change your ideas about it. It may change your mind about that. My wife bought a new truck, 2025 truck, and that thing is terrible. It's a Ford F-150, and if you get over the line just a little bit, the truck says, "Watch the road." It doesn't speak, but it's got a big old
My
thing.
car does that.
Oh, that's horrible.
I don't like them.
I don't like that at all.
Because
That's
it
terrible.
jerks the wheel.
Oh yeah, it's just terrible. It's horrible. So anyway, but you have to research it. Have to go take a look at it
Educate
before you say, educate yourself before you say, I'm not going to be a part of that. Once you go and do that, once you go and investigate something, you might decide that's exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do anything spiritual, but you know what? Once I go and investigate it, I will tell you that's the one thing that helped me get into recovery. There were a myriad of things. There were a whole bunch of different things that got me into recovery. But I will tell you that being spiritual minded, getting to a place of spirituality, is one of the big things that not only got me there, but kept me there. Because every time, not the devil. Devil got nothing. Devil, one old boy, he's somewhere, but he ain't with me. And so it's not the devil, it's me. So every time, deep down inside, my desire says, hey, you need to go do this, then I have some place I can go. The reason we're doing all of that is there's someone kicking the table where that comes from. So, it can help us, it can hurt us, but for the most part, spirituality can help us. It gives us somewhere outside of ourselves to go. And as addicts, we need somewhere outside of ourselves to go. We were talking the other day about not isolating, but being by ourselves just a little bit. What did we say? Addicts by themselves are in poor company. So if I have a higher power that I can go to that can actually be with me, then I am not by myself. I'm not alone, right? All right, one other thing, and then we're going to be closing down for a quick break. We have option C, which is on the next page, and it says this. You don't believe in things of a spiritual nature at all. Just don't believe it. From a philosophical point, we embrace the idea of a spiritual world. We have found that our solutions in promoting wellness and recovery involve the healthy spiritual life of our clients. In other words, we do have a position on this issue. South Point, North Point, we have a position on this issue. So we believe it. We do have spiritual beliefs. However, we understand not everybody shares that view, and that's okay. We also value the input and experience of our clients, believe the healthy conversation that results from this subject benefits everybody. And it benefits us all. That being said, we think it's a harder road to wellness and recovery for those unable or unwilling to embrace the spiritual nature of our big game. So, what do if you're one of those people who happen to believe in a spiritual higher power, and you have friends, neighbors, or folks around you who don't believe?
Just accept it.
Respect it, don't talk about it.
Yeah,
just accept it and don't talk about it.
No, or you can respect it, but maybe try to give them some insights, about what you believe in or not.
Respect, we absolutely, look, I demand respect. I don't just demand respect for me. I demand respect for you and you and you. We have to, look, why are you worthy of respect?
It's something our parents teach us.
It's something your parents teach you. That's respecting others. But why are you personally worthy of respect? Why should I respect you?
Because
if you want respect, then you gotta give respect.
You want respect, you have to give respect.
I respected you, so just out of you're older than me. It's called respecting. I just said you're older than me, so it's just out of respect. So.
I'm older than everybody.
Well, I mean,
hey, it had nothing to do with nothing.
It's a truth.
I respect you because you're old.
I didn't say old. I didn't say old. I just said older than
older than old.
I know my word. I know my word. I know what I deserve.
I mean, that's what my parents taught me.
Because everyone deserves respect. That's just how
everybody deserves respect. So why does everybody deserve respect? Because we're human beings. You are a human being. You deserve respect just because you are fearfully and wonderfully made child of God, whether you accept Him or not.
People respect people if they get to know them, but if they don't know somebody, they don't respect them at all.
And sometimes that's a problem. People, respect is a weird thing. People can respect people if they know them, because they've seen what they do and how they do things. They can also respect people or should respect people that they don't know. Right? Because I don't know who you are. I don't know what, so I'm going to respect you just because you are you.
Right.
Just because you're a human being. You may be the lowest person on the face of the earth, lower than a snake's belly in a wagon run, right? But still, you deserve the respect that is there for every human being, right?
What if they
And I'm gonna say it again.
What if they disrespect you first?
Well, what if they do disrespect you? If somebody disrespects you, what do?
You pray
Pray
for
for
them.
them. He said,
How many people know that
That's their solution.
people disrespect each other all the time? They do it here. They do in groups. I get disrespected
Counselors
all
do it
the
too.
time. I studied for 3 weeks, and I get up to teach the class, and people just get up and just walk out. Just walk out the class, talk to one another during the class, go to sleep and all. That's all disrespectful. But you still have to respect that person. Here's the deal: if somebody disrespects you, if you respond to it disrespectfully back to them, it's just it's kind of like Israel and Iran right now. They just keep going. Well, I'll shoot you back. Back and forth, back and forth. Okay. But if that person disrespects you and you respect them anyway, that makes you something special. Makes you something special, and you're on that spiritual path. So really quickly, this one we have to go really quickly. So write a page. If you really don't believe, just write a page. Are you absolutely sure there's no spiritual world, God, or higher power? Are you absolutely certain? How do you know that? How do you know that?
Do some reading. I don't know.
I have asked that question of a whole bunch of people, and so you had an answer, man? How do you know it?
You just gotta look outside and see that.
Just gotta look outside. That's not how you don't know. That's true. Oh yeah. Yeah. You can't make a tree. You can grow one, but you can't make one.
You can ask for other people's opinions about it.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the deal, I've asked people that question before, and they've said, God's never done anything to prove himself to me. Is he obligated to prove himself to you?
No.
Not really. No.
Unless he wants to.
But just like she said, if you go out there and look at the trees and stuff, and then, should be able to say, hey, look. So, where do you attribute the creation of our world? Can you describe where the elements came from to lead to creation?
Big Bang.
And, like she said earlier, aliens done that. Aliens did all that there.
I was just trying to start up a conversation.
And you got it started, didn't you? And look, I was at home by myself for about 10 minutes yesterday. And I was watching a little bit of television. I've been working on my land, and I came in, and I was a little bit tired, so I sat down, and there was a television show that was called Ancient Astronauts. And they were talking about how the ancient astronauts came and built all of this stuff and all of that. And I think, they're silly people, even on the television. So, So, can you create something out of nothing?
Nope.
The only thing you can create out of nothing is your attitude. And some of us do that. We got nothing, but we create an attitude about it. Yeah. No, we can't do that. If we could make a blade of grass, if I can make one blade of grass, okay. If I made one blade of grass, what would that make me?
Wow.
It would make me pretty wild. It would make me God.
Magic.
If I can go make a blade of grass.
No, I mean, it wouldn't be because they've done that and it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. As much as they try and do or whatever, it's just a duplicate because it's already.
It is just a duplicate. Okay. So, are you open-minded toward things of a spiritual nature?
You have to.
I think
You know,
you should
if
be
I'm-
open-minded.
Are there people who are not? Are there people who are
Yes.
closed-minded on that
Yes.
subject?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are. Do you respect that person as a human being?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do they have the right? Absolutely. That's not the way I believe. I think it's ignorant, but
I think it's ignorant.
they have the right. And so they also have the right for me to respect them. Right?
Right.
Right.
You got a drawer full of candy. Yeah.
Give me some.
So how can a spiritual... Oh, wrong one. So where does a sense of morality come from if you don't have anything like that?
That didn't sound right, girl.
So how can a lack of a spiritual life be substituted in a life of recovery? If we don't have a spiritual life, what else can we use?
It says volunteering or giving
Yeah.
back.
Giving back, volunteering,
Service work.
service work, doing all, helping other people. Helping other people. You know, if you look, and I'm not talking about any counselors in particular, but if you look at the field, counselors are usually in this field in particular to help,
Well, yeah.
to give back. Most of us are in recovery, and we want to give back. So a lot of time people are doing service work by being counselors and stuff like that.
Some of them are just here for paychecks.
Some of them are in it just for the paycheck. I don't know any of those. I do, but you know, they're way off somewhere else. You know, none of them here. Everybody's here because they're
She said nothing.
We're all in here for a paycheck. Yeah.
I'm not listening. I had a fellow. I had a fellow in group about 10. Oh, this must have been 30 years ago. But he was in group, and he wasn't happy about being there. And we were talking about this, talking about that, doing whatever we were doing. And he told me, he said, you know, if you really cared about people, you would do this for free. I said, well, what were you? He said, well, I'm a welder. I said, you like that company you work for?
They never do.
He said, well, yeah, I like my... I said, well, if you really like that company, you go well for free. Somebody got to feed my children. I want to help and I want to be of service, but my help and my service will never ever take place of my spirituality. It can't,
No, I think
in my estimation.
a paycheck is good and everything, you know. But like, I really feel like I'm not saying it's here, but you know, some counselors are just there for the paycheck.
Well, and that's true, but that's true across the spectrum.
Well, that's everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, in
It doesn't
everything
help
there
your
are
recovery.
people there just for the money.
But you know what?
But-
They do it for it can be a job, but they don't consider it a job because they love it.
Absolutely,
Because they love it.
Absolutely.
So therefore, the check is a bonus.
actually,
It's not
I
necessarily.
that's absolutely.
That's why you worded that just right. Yeah. She worded that
Absolutely.
just
Well,
right.
that's what I was saying.
I spoke to a lady just this morning who is a counselor who said she really, really was enjoying her job. And so, you know, like you guys said, if you enjoy your job, it's not like work. All right, it is break time. We're going to take us it's 10 o'clock straight up and down. We're going to take a 15-minute break. Y'all come back and we have some other stuff we're going to do that's different from this.
I'll have a beat.
Monica,
I thought it was just desk.
Monica,
I thought it was just fine.
come on.
Oh, so thank you. No, I don't want those. I thought it was just desk candy. I didn't know if it was.
Oh no, it's my computer.
So thank you. I got one of these.
So I think I am going to.
I'll be here maybe.
Oh,
I forgot to know.
Oh, you had nails on? I need a healing for my soul. Oh, no remote. So give me a healing for my soul. I need a healing for my soul. So give me a healing for my soul. Girl, can I wait till you come back? I can't wait for him to come back. I don't want to. I'm leaving on the 3rd. I'm all over the place, especially. I just feel like 4 things at one time. Coffee. Yes, my exit date is the 3rd, but that's if I have everything all done processing. Just Thursday. If not, then I'll be busy on this stuff. Which other stuff? Okay, Bob. When do you leave? Do you know? No.
Like, no, dude. I got boundless and something this week. They're gonna have him. So, forever.
You'll be completely done though with everything, right?
No. I have to do.
Look at my ankle, it's super swollen. Oh shit, it's super swollen.
Your ankle?
Yeah, you see?
Yes.
It's fat as fuck. I woke up like,
Look how skinny mine are.
oh my back.
They're not skinny. Normally they're like
Yeah. Yeah, but I got one fat one and one skinny. But so you still gotta be on probation, that's right. But that's still done. Like, you're still done with everything. Probation's not. She'll be done. Girl. I was just saying, I'm freaking out shower.
You do what?
I'm breaking up a show maker.
Are you really?
I just want some space. I want some space. It's not like, I don't know. If it becomes permanent, so be it, but I just want some space. I just want
It feels
some
good in here.
You know, and I'm like, I have not had no time to myself. I've always had all of my kids. So it's not even like I'm just trying to get rid of it. I just want some space. I want to get my house in order. It's so chaotic right now with just some of the girls. He's not been taking them to daycare. Mind you, CPS has them in daycare. So if he has to be, his supervision is daycare because he has marijuana in his system. And so he can't be the full-time parent because you still have marijuana in your system. So if you have the supervision of daycare and you're not taking them to daycare, CPS is going to take my fucking kids from me. He doesn't fucking get that. He think he can just lollygag with that. And I'm just like, and you can't tell him shit because then you argue, but I can't stress about it because I'm in here and there's nothing I can fucking do. So I'm just hold on.
Well, you know what? The fact that, because you've been here longer for him to be able to pass the breakfast.
Well, he's not stopped smoking
That's
either.
what I'm saying.
So that's where we're at. You didn't quit
So
smoking.
you're having to be away from your family, go back in rehab, and he can't even quit smoking.
Or let alone he hasn't been to a class yet. Now, mind you, the girls got daycare maybe 2 weeks ago. Now, Sabrina was still with me. They got in daycare about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, and they only went one time. Charlotte caught an ear infection, but Aubrey was fine. But at least show them that you're trying or get them in the facility or the daycare facility so they can see that they're not with you 24/7 and you're still not recovering. You know, so it looks good on fucking paper. But no, you can't tell them shit. So I'm like, you won't be happy until I kill you. I'm not about to fucking argue. Let me just let me just leave. Let me just be done.
That's crazy.
We got into a big ugly fight before I came here, and then we got our shit together because I came here. But that's every time we in a situation. Like every time we are in the middle of a fallout or a badass fight, something happens where we got to come together and put our fucking fight on hold and not solve the fight issue, and then we just going forward. And now we're happy and lovey-dovey again because we just put the fight on hold and now we're being supportive.
Y'all are good in crisis.
That's exactly what it is. We do great in crisis. We're supportive in a crisis situation. So yeah, but then once this shit over, now the bullshit is back. And I don't want that. I want to go home and I want to clean my house.
You can't legit come into a situation like this. I mean, the fact that you had to bring a newborn baby.
That is a lot in itself.
Is crazy.
It's crazy, and then it's a lot in itself.
And so to go back home to dysfunction,
it's crazy. So he's gotta go. At least for a little bit. Who's gotta go? My baby daddy. He's gotta go. I need a break. I just want a break. I want a relationship break. I need to get my life together. Cause I'm about to go home. And like, y'all was pressed and thirsty to go home, but now it's so time to go home. I'm like, ugh. I gotta go home. I gotta go home. And deal with my chaos at home. Cause he doesn't have nowhere to go. It's just us two alone. So, I don't have to do this. I can't just come out before he's like that. And the other time, if we were back in Ohio, get the fuck out. You got several pieces to go. So I don't know. Okay. Are you excited, Chad? No. You feel the same way? I guess I feel understand how you cold feel. 'Cause I was like, I couldn't wait to go. Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I couldn't wait to go. Now I'm like, all right. I don't know.
Reality hits.
Mm-hmm.
Life is life, and fucking life sucks.
In real life, like they said, like this is a vacation, and like I didn't get that, and now here I am, I get it.
I don't like the fact that I don't have a job right now.
I don't like. I gotta fucking possibly. I might have part of a warrant. I just fucking found my fucking ticket.
Well, you just have to pay it.
Well, yeah. The thing is, my sticker is expired.
Oh, okay.
This time the Beaumont had too much time. I honestly forgot completely about the fucking sticker. I've been in Dallas, Houston, and Dallas. No one gave a goddamn about my goddamn sticker.
Right.
When I tell you I was in the school zone, right before I came here, the school zone. 20 miles per hour. My little sign.
Give me a second.
Coming towards me. I'm not getting him. Oh, I'm not ready to come off.
Right.
Bitch! You got to railroad tracks? Huh?
Did you order groceries yet?
Nah, he didn't come yet. But the envelope was up there.
Okay. Well, was there anything to ask?
He's so pretty. Then that cop bust that U-turn on goddamn on the railroad tracks to the school zone. Okay, so pull me over like I just was on a high speed chase. So pull me over. You're like, what year is it? What year does that say? So you got too much time on it. But I completely forgot about it. Like I done must have been before I got down here, so I completely forgot.
And it's different in Louisiana because your expiration tag or it's like 3 years. Down here you have to change it every year.
Yeah, but ever since COVID, you know, they've been real lenient with the time for changing your because even in Dallas, like if you go online to try to schedule your time to get your whatever you need to do you gotta schedule it. That shit go all the way back. They push that damn. You're not going to next week.
Right.
You're not going tomorrow, you're not going this week, you're not going next week, you're going next month. Now in Houston I see that it's a little quicker. But in Dallas, no, that shit goes all the way out. It's a month out your date or whatever, but it's in the system. But girl came down here, completely got about it, caught up with moving and shit, and that's what you got to right for
Yeah, just go call and see how much the ticket is.
Well, I got that part.
Okay.
However, I was supposed to come back June 11th with my shit together. I was here. I was here. And I was in the middle cleaning out my binder in my drawer last night, and I said, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, but I think they do something here, because Miss Asia and someone else, one of the other clients, council was telling me, they do something, like you have stuff like this or traffic or something like that, they'll waive it by sending them a letter, and it should like waive it or something, or play games. So I'm going to see if I can do that. I got one. Here's the guy.
I got 7 of those and like, how many charges? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 charges.
Yeah.
Yeah, evading, resisting arrest, 2 assault charges.
Resisting.
Criminal trespassing and terrorism threat.
Damn, we down there got the same shit, man.
Y'all make my shit look like.
It's not all for traffic tickets. One intimidation.
And they will arrest you for them traffic tickets. That's the only time I went to jail was over a damn traffic ticket.
Oh, fucking Martell, you bust out your time. I said, you too much time. But damn. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully that weighs the heat. I was in rehab. And I had a day. I'm about to go crying. Please.
Please me to jail. I'm gonna try this. It's a pineapple and a pepper.
I'm mad you still resist. You Jesus.
I was going, that took them 5 of them to wrestling.
Oh man, it took 6 of them to put me down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I was drunk as
Me too.
Man, I was
Me
so
too.
drunk, man.
They grabbed me, they stood me up on my feet and threw me like.
That's how they were carrying.
They all had her. They all had her.
Ain't had no choice. And I was still fighting.
She's a fighter.
No, put his leg down like she's a fighter.
I was the packing crabs. Yes. And I was upstairs. Who says
Yes. Oh my God.
I was upstairs. That's what they were saying. Oh man, we should do them. That's it. I got time for that. You taking all these pictures when I got home. No, I'm not showing these people.
Yeah.
I was really going extra hand. Like, I'm taking accountability.
I was upstairs, like upstairs.
These bitches got it that night.
And then I was like pulling downstairs, like, y'all want to arrest me? Walk faster, like I'm ready to go, like. Yeah.
Well, we're back.
So we live. I think we're still live.
Oh wow.
I don't turn it off, so whatever you were talking about, everybody up there heard it.
Damn it. Oh my God.
Don't mess with me,
So, excuse me, y'all. We're back. We're going to be talking a little bit more about spirituality. And what I want to do for the last few minutes of the group this morning, I want to talk about how to use spirituality to help us in our recovery.
Okay.
Now, a lot of us, we can just say that spirituality will help me in my recovery. Is that a true statement? Being a spiritual person, having a higher power has a tendency to help me in my recovery.
Yes,
Right?
and yes, and no. I mean, it can be. It can be. Some people believe in spirit as in the wrong things. They can, worship whatever they want to say. And it's not a good thing. I mean, it just depends on what your spirituality is.
Yeah, and like she said, it depends on where you're going with your spirituality. If you're going to a positive place that's supposed to be helping you with your recovery, then your spirituality is going to help you. But there's some ways that we can use our spiritual ideas to help us in our recovery. And I've come up with a few of them here. I didn't come up with this. Somebody else did all of this, but I stole it. Which is okay. In your recovery, sometimes we have to take a little something, So, one of the things that spirituality will help you do is called reflection.
Mm-hmm.
What does reflection mean?
Looking at yourself in the mirror.
Say it again.
Looking at yourself in the mirror.
Looking at yourself in the mirror. That's a good point. We just need to look at ourselves, see where we are, use spirituality to help us reflect on who we are and whose we are and where we're going. Reflect on a time when you felt a deep sense of inner peace and connection. When's the last time you felt a deep sense of inner peace and connection?
Friday. When I found out I was leaving Thursday.
Friday? Everything is Friday. Something good must have happened Friday. That's all.
I got the present of the Holy Ghost.
Well, that'll do it. I do get a deep sense of happiness, a deep sense of fulfillment when I'm in prayer. I do a lot of praying. I pray on the way to work. I pray on the way back home. I do a lot of prayer, so I know that prayer helps me. Prayer may not help everybody, right? But prayer helps me. I know who I'm praying to and what I'm praying about, and it helps me. So I need to reflect on a time when I felt a deep sense of inner peace and a sense of being connected to something that was beyond me. Right? If I believe that there's a higher power, something that is greater than me, that really cares about what's going on in my life, that really cares about what my future holds, then I need to do my level best to become connected to that higher power.
Right.
I need to be connected to that higher power because here's the deal. When I get back out there in the world, guess what the world's going to do?
Keep going.
The world's going to keep going, but it's also going to start pulling at you to get back to where you were.
Right.
Because the world wants you back where you are supposed to be, as the world sees it. And the world includes all those old people, places, and things that give us so much trouble.
Is that like testing somebody to go? I mean, are you saying that's testing them to go back to their old lifestyle, or what
Right.
they're supposed to be?
Like
their life?
it's easier for us in here because like we're
Yeah.
closed in, but when we get out there,
It's easy to say ethics.
it's a challenge.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Life just be life.
Y'all know-
Forced to make choices that
Right.
can make us.
Right. And your higher power. What we were talking about is that we have the right to make the choices we want to make when we get out of here. And it is a much easier choice to go back to what we were doing than it is to stay on the path that we have chosen now. Because you're going to have 42,000,809 people, places, and things that's going to be pulling you to go back to where you were. Because the people who loved you when you were drunk, loved you when you were high, loved you when you were buzzed. They won't love you now because you ain't no fun and you don't have anything and you ain't giving up your money for them to get something to make them feel funny, right? You ain't got no funny money. So we need to have a higher power in place so that when all the rest of the junk gets on us, we can move to a different place. We have to have some kind of help that's going to get us there. We have to have that connectedness with somebody or someone or something that is greater than we are. I'm going to tell you what, we're all pretty great. We're brilliant. We're pretty fantastic people. I'm going to tell you that. But it's easy for me to find a higher power. It's easy for me to look at my higher power and understand he's smarter than I am. And when I'm connected to him, I'm going to do the right thing.
Right.
But when I get connected to just me, all bets are off. Yeah, ain't no telling what I'm going to do. By myself, I'm going to do some crazy stuff. So, you look at that time, you find that place of inner peace that you were at. This is what reflection is about. I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at that time when I had a sense of real inner peace and a sense of real connectedness. And then I'm going to ask myself, what contributed to that experience? What caused that? What made that? What initiated that? What caused me to feel like that? And how can I recreate that in my daily life? I got a big deal, something wonderful, something fantastic has happened in my life. Can I recreate that in my everyday life? Can I have that every day?
Yeah.
If you want to, look at it and see, can I have that? If I go back to the place and I say, jumping out of an airplane at 3,000 feet and that's where I found all that connectedness. Can I do that every day?
No.
Not usually, no. That's pretty expensive to do, and sometimes the chutes don't open.
But you can do
anything. She said you can do anything you set your mind to. So if you've got the money, it'll cost you $300 or $400 to go do that, but you can go do that every day if you want to do it.
Right.
You're just going to have to sell the house, sell the kids. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I have 3 children and a whole bunch of grandchildren and a whole bunch of great grandchildren. I could probably sell all of those and jump 3 or 4 times.
There you go. Buy your own plane.
But look, when we were talking about what my place of inner peace is a lot of that I find in prayer, and I can do that every day, and I can do that all day long. The Bible says, "Pray without ceasing."
It's a lot cheaper too.
It is a lot cheaper. It's free. I can go to God anytime I want to, and I can pray all that I want to. And it also, for me, a good place of connectedness is talking about my higher power. That helps me. So, this prompt encourages us to recall, analyze moments of profound peace and connection. Now, I have talked to people who have told me I have never had that experience. You know, people like that, I've never had profound peace in my life. I've never had any kind of connectedness like that in my life. What do you say to a person like that?
One day.
Began to seek something
Give it a
like
try.
that. Start looking for a place of connectedness. Right now, if I have never had that in my life, and I've not had that in my life right now, don't have it going on right now, then I am not connected to a higher power. And I need, yeah, got out of there as quickly as I could. By identifying the factors that contributed to those experiences, you find ways to use similar elements in your daily life routines. This reflection helps you to recognize effective spiritual practices with the hope you will use them in your everyday life. So, we need to be looking at those things that keep us at a place where we are happy, at a place where we are positive, at a place where we feel that spiritual connectedness, and then try to recreate that. Try to go back. We know that I thoroughly enjoy church. Being with other people who believe the same way that I believe, I get a spiritual connectedness there. I have a wonderful time when I'm at church, and it's just fantastic. My wife is down at our church right now with the air conditioning guy. I love those guys. They don't bring peace. They don't. Our air conditioner wasn't like, he said, "Oh, this old unit, it's going to cost you $38,000. You're going to have to get it now. I'm going to call my boss. He's going to come out here now and going to give you a bigger, okay." Yeah, you know, we have, since I've been to that church 3 years, we have bought like 3 units so far. So, you know, don't really want to buy another one. So, anyway, we need to be at a place where we can reflect upon some of those things that made us feel good about ourselves. If you can feel good about who you are, if you feel good about your recovery, if you can feel good about the fact that you are moving forward in a way that's going to help you get to a place where you want to be. Because, and I'm telling you, this is a magnificent place. They're cooking some good food in there for you guys later on. But this isn't where you want to spend your life, right? No, I don't want to spend my life here. I want to, not as a client.
No, I'm right.
No, you might get out of here, and we would appreciate it. Y'all get out here, go to school, come back as counselors. We would love that to happen. But here's the deal: I don't want to spend my whole life here as a client. So I want to be thinking about the things that are going to help me get to a place where I don't have to do that, right?
Right.
I want to be reflecting on the times when things were good, when things were positive, when things were going to lead me somewhere I really want to be. Right? So we can use reflection. I can think of some really good times back in the day that did not include the use of drugs or alcohol at all. Right? Everybody got a little something you can think about? I guess it was now, I don't know how long ago it was, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. I went to Hexham, England, and I had a marvelous time over there. I went up into Scotland and drove around, just beautiful country, and everything's 300 or 400 years old, and all of this kind of stuff, and it was just a wonderful time. And I do find myself from time to time sitting back just reflecting on that. I loved it. They had those old telephone booths that you see on the TV, the big old tall red things. You get in, you close up in there. And I had called my wife. She didn't go with me, so I had called her from over there. And it's like $450 million a second on one of those old phones. But it was fun. So I didn't call her back much from one of those, but it was good. So we need to recognize some of the things in our life back then that made a difference to us. So sometimes I can sit around and just think about that, and it's positive. I didn't use any alcohol over there, but and when you go into they have a store over there that everybody loves to hate. It's like Walmart, call it Tesco's, and you go into the Tesco's, they have shut down all the little shops around them. They have everything. And they have a whole portion of the store that's nothing but booze. It's like it's not like here you go to H-E-B and they've got wine and beer and stuff like that. Tesco's has wine and beer and vodka and everything you want. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's just like a package store. And so, there's junk everywhere, but for the rest of it, it was a fantastic time in my life. And I think about that from time to time. Think about the things that God has done in my life. God has done a lot of things. I was born and raised in Meridian, Mississippi, and the one thing I really wanted to do, there were two things. I wanted to come to Texas, and I wanted to go to England. And I've managed to do both of those. And I met the two most important people in my life here in Texas. So I think about those kinds of things. And look, I have had people tell me, well, I don't have anything like that. Yes, you do. There's something there. There is something there. All of us have trauma in your childhood, and you have trauma growing up, and all of us caused some trauma in our lives while we were using drugs or alcohol, right? But beyond that, there's some stuff out there that's good. There's something in your life that's worth thinking about. There's something in your life that can take your mind away from the use of drugs or alcohol for a few minutes. Get you to that place of spirituality. That's how spirituality is going to help you in your recovery. You can think about the last time God did something amazing in your life, and that'll help you do it. Now, one of the other things we can do is begin to grow. Wherever you are in your spiritual life, can you grow from there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Your spiritual life can be, whatever it is, whatever you've decided it's going to be, but you can grow from that point and go somewhere other than where you are with it right now. So what we need to be looking at, if I do believe in spirituality at all, or if I don't believe in spirituality at all, I need to be willing to grow from wherever I am. Because I want spirituality to help me in my recovery. I want God to help me in my recovery. I want my higher power to be on my side. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want God to be on my side. I don't want him to be on, the bad guy's side. I want him to be on my side. And God is on my side. He's also on your side. Right? So I can grow from that. So if I'm going to grow spiritually, so I have to ask my question, how has your understanding of spirituality evolved? I didn't say the word right. Evolved throughout your recovery journey. Now, where am I with my spirituality? Did I start when I first started in recovery? My reality of spirituality, what I thought spirituality was down here somewhere. This is why I can think, okay, that doorknob is my higher power, but it evolves and it goes somewhere else. My understanding of God morphs and gets higher and gets bigger and gets more in depth as I go along, right? As I grow in my spirituality, I'm going to grow in my recovery. As I grow in my recovery, I'm going to grow in my spirituality. So how has my understanding of spirituality grown? It has. In my own experience, my growth in spirituality has grown a lot. It's gone from not believing at all until, I suppose at this point, complete and utter belief. I don't doubt anymore. I was at we weren't at our church Sunday. We were at another church, and the pastor there broached the subject of the war over there that's going on, and he said, if we have a nuclear war, he said, I hope the nuclear bomb lands in my living room. I said, okay, you straight. He said, because I know where I'm going, and it's no big deal, so let's just get it over with. I don't want to be one of those that's hanging on afterward. That's because he's convinced, his spirituality is up yonder somewhere. He's convinced. He knows what he knows. So, What role does it play in your life now compared before you attended treatment, before you began to believe? What role is spirituality playing in your life now? Is it playing any bigger role now?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too. So is it in most people's life? Excuse me, I get all choked up about this. In most people's lives, it does play a bigger role as you go along, right? As does eating corn chips and all that plays a bigger role at some point. So we need to consider our transformation during recovery. Because, we go through all of this stuff and we read the book and we get taught about all of these things. We have the opportunity for growth. Does that mean that everybody's going to grow?
No.
No. Does that mean that everybody has to grow?
Eventually.
Eventually, perhaps they will. They don't have to. Who is it important for me to pay attention to our growth? You're right. Ourself. I need to pay attention to myself. And whether or not I'm growing. I'm hoping that everybody's growing. But if everybody's not growing, it's more important that I'm growing. Right?
Right.
Okay. So, we, comparing our past and our present, we can understand and get an understanding of our spirituality right now. Where am I now? We start to respect your progress, while you also recognize the increased significance of the meaning to you that you're growing. This awareness can motivate continual spiritual development, reinforce the positive impact of spirituality in your life. One of the things that I know that I need is to understand why it is that spirituality might be important to me. Why spirituality? Why do you think spirituality might be important to you?
To heal yourself, to help better yourself.
To help better ourselves. And as we spoke a little bit earlier, we talk about the fact that we need to have somebody to go to, right?
Right.
We need to have someone that's more powerful than me, that's knows more than I do, can do more than I can do, that I can go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have a higher power that is actually, listen to the term, higher power. That didn't take any power away from me. I'm a powerful spiritual person, but there is one who is a higher power than I am. Someone who has more power. So when I get to that place where I've used up all of the power that I have, then I can go to him and his power doesn't get used up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're rushing through this. We have 38 more things to do.
Mhm.
The next thing we need to do, the next thing I want to look at is journaling. Has anybody thought about journaling?
Yes.
Yeah, when you're talking about, look, journaling is a great thing. I journal all the time, and it's good for you, and it's things that you need to do, and you can journal about anything. But when I'm journaling about my spiritual practice, what does that do? When I journal about my own spirituality, what does it do?
It shows your growth.
It shows me whether I'm growing, whether I'm growing in my spirituality or not. So, we need to write about a spiritual practice or activity that's been particularly meaningful to you. Whatever that might be. If it's a church service, if it's just you alone in the woods, if it's just you looking at a tree, I like to look. I get up very early in the morning and I like to go out and sit on my porch, drink many much's coffee, and listen to the birds sing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have all sorts of birds, and we live out in the country, and I have like all sorts of birds that visit me in the morning and just serenade me. It's really good. Yeah. And you can hear all that stuff, and I love it. Also in the afternoon, I like watching when the sun goes down. I like watching when the sun comes up and see the chaos that God performs in the sky, and all of that stuff. So I can write about all of those things. This is what God did for me. My wife and I go camping a lot. We haven't been in a minute, but we used to go camping a lot. We have a little RV camper that we pull, and we go up and stay at state parks. And y'all ever been to a state park? They are fun. They're also cheap. It's like for $70, you can go all year long. You can go to as many Texas parks as you want to go. And we've gone all over. We've gone to Mississippi parks and Louisiana parks and Alabama parks. And they're all beautiful, all fantastic, and really enjoy going. And if you just go, you don't have a thing. You want a day pass, costs $4, to go into the park, and that's just marvelous. You can see what God does out there. It's always by some water, and there's lots of big old trees, beautiful grass, and you see deer and all kinds of stuff like that. That's some stuff to write about.
That's nature.
And it is. It's nature. And there's one right up here, Martin Dice State Park. You go up there and there's deer everywhere and all kind of great stuff. We took a youth group up there, stayed 3 days, and you talk about wildlife. We saw probably 100 deer, a bunch of other little things and probably 32 billion mosquitoes.
How about flies?
They were out there. And I will tell you, if you go up into the woods, don't wear that. Don't wear anything dark. They will attack you and eat you. Yeah, we had a girl that she went with us. All she wore was black. And by the time it was over with, she'd lost 3 gallons of blood. And I told her, look, you keep wearing the black and walk next to me. She's going to attract all those things. So we need to be able to write about it. How does it support your mental and physical well-being to write about the good things that happen in your life? Should we write about the bad things that happen in our life? You can. I've had some bad things happen in my life. Have you had any bad things happen in your life?
Yeah, you should write about it.
You can write about them. I don't. I write about the positive things in my life. Why is that? What I think about,
Positive things can happen.
right, what I think about, what I write about, what I read about is going to put that idea in my mind. I'm going to be looking for a positive thing. I'm not looking for any negative things. I'm looking for positive things. And so I want to remember positive things. I want to come up with positive things. I want to be involved in positive things. I want to be headed toward positive things. I want to be positive, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want somebody saying, well, I'm positive I'm going to have a bad day. Well, go on somewhere. Because I'm not going to have a bad day. I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to be positive today, right? So journal. We're going to focus on identifying and appreciating specific spiritual practices that matter. Spiritual practices that matter. Things that matter to us. Now let me ask you a question. And y'all can get with me on this. Let me know what you think. Is spirituality and religion, are those two terms interchangeable?
I think no.
No?
Spirituality and religion?
Spirituality and religion, are they the same thing?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think religion plays off spirituality. But you know what I'm saying. Religion plays off the spirituality.
That's what I say too. Yeah.
Man concept of
Yeah. Religion can have some spirituality in it, but spirituality doesn't necessarily mean religion. Sometimes religion can be rules and regulations and things. That's a man-made thing. That's religion. Spirituality is beyond that. Spirituality is above that. Sometimes religion can have spirituality in it, but it is not necessarily spiritual in nature.
It's a cult.
Yes, it can be. It can be. Even some mainline churches and stuff like that, they have all of the rules and regulations and all of those things, and that's religion. And why did those guys run into the Twin Towers back there 30 years ago?
They were bad.
It was because of that religion.
Because it was a religion.
It was their religion.
Their religion.
Well, they
Told
should
them
have
to do
ran
that.
under their own Twin Towers,
Yeah.
not ours.
So we can journal about those things. I think that it is more important for us to journal about the good and positive things. We need to journal about the things we wouldn't mind seeing in our lives again. You know, I don't want to journal about something that I don't want to have imprinted on my mind.
Oh, nothing.
Oh, you're just waving.
I was
Okay.
saying that.
I don't. There are some things I don't want to have to go back through again. And I don't intend to go back through it again. So I'm not going to sit around and journal about it. Sometimes, however, if there's something that I can't get off my mind, it's a good thing to journal about that. But what we're journaling about here is our idea about spirituality and where it is and how it's helping me in my life. So we're going to appreciate things, specific spiritual practices that matter, understanding how these activities support mental and physical wellness. You reinforce commitment to this routine and explore new ways to integrate it into my life during recovery when I'm journaling it. It offers encouragement to take a holistic approach to your health. What does holistic approach to my health mean?
I have no idea.
The whole thing. I'm going to make sure that I eat right and I exercise and I get enough sleep and all of that stuff, but I'm also going to interject spirituality into my recovery. That's holistic. I'm going to get everything working together for that one good. Because I didn't come over here just to get sober, did I? I came over here to get into a state of recovery. And recovery is a little bit different, right?
Yes.
Just being sober is what?
It's not working. You're not in recovery. You're just being sober. Like
Just being sober, and everybody can be sober. So if I'm into, now y'all, I like to try to get this interjected in every class. If I'm going to be in recovery, guess what I have to do?
Work the steps. You have to
Work the steps.
You have to, be putting in the work.
Putting in the work. Being cognizant of the universal relapse triggers. The relapse triggers that's going to get everyone, no matter who you are, what are they?
People, places, things.
Old people, places, and things. Old people, places, and things. And there are people in both groups this morning already planning to go back to old people, places, and things. But I'm different. Right? I'm going to be able to go back to old people, places, and things just because you said I couldn't. I can't, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you. All right, show me. We'll be here. Right? We'll be here. We need to get to the place where we believe that. I need to stay away from old people, places, and things. So I need to put this in here, and if I put what I needed, I'm going to get the encouragement to have a holistic approach. Everything that will help, I need. Right? Mm-hmm. If I eat right, will that help me stay in my recovery? Yeah.
You eat.
Yes, it will, because what it does is help me get healthy.
Yeah, if you sleep well, eat
well, sleep well, exercise, and if I do that the way I'm supposed to do that, I'm going to feel better. And if I feel better, that is really helpful in helping me to stay sober. And if I don't feel well, because what happens when I don't feel well?
You're putting yourself into that bad place again.
Yeah, pain and suffering is a bad place to be, and I become a victim. Pour me, pour me, pour me another drink.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
you know, when I become a victim, then I go and do things that victims do.
Uh-oh. Don't say that.
So one of the last things, we have a couple of more things, and we'll be done. One of the things that we can do too to help spirituality, to help us in our recovery, is to meditate. And we need to meditate. And look, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about that type of meditate. I'm talking about you get to a place where you meditate on some of the things that help you stay in your recovery. Right? Meditate on the spirituality aspects of your recovery. It says, think about the people in your life who inspire you spiritually. Who's your inspiration? Spiritually.
Your higher power.
Your higher power. My higher power is an inspiration to me. A lot of those heroes in the Bible are inspirations to me. I have some political figures that are inspirations to me, and I think about those guys and I meditate on those things. I said, think about the people in your life who inspire you spiritually. What qualities do they possess, and how can you incorporate similar qualities into your own spiritual practice? I have a friend of mine who is pastor of a church in my town, actually. And he's been the pastor there for like 35 years. He is an inspiration to me. Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, that's a hard thing. But he's been there all of those years doing all of those things. So sometimes I just, when things are getting tough for me, I think about that. I say, how can he be there that long? He can only be there that long because of spirituality, because of his connection with God. That's the only way he can be there. So we need to be meditating. Look, if you read the Bible tells you to meditate on the Word of God. So you find a scripture that says whatever you think that might help you in your life, and then you think about that. You meditate on that. The Bible tells us that God loves us. It says that God is love. So that's something good to meditate about, right? You can meditate on no matter what. Isn't that neat? You can't do anything to make God love you more, but you can't do anything to make God love you less. God loves you just like you are, and there's nothing you can do about it. Isn't that a neat thing?
Wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful thing, because I'll tell you, I've done some things that I don't love myself over. I've done some things that there are people who don't love me, but God's not in that group. So that's something we can meditate on. So the last thing, look, we did this real well. And you only had to eat half a pound of candy to get through it.
Bananas candy.
Only a half a pound. Okay, so one of the things that we can do, look, if we can use spirituality in our recovery, is to help us overcome. What do you need to overcome?
A drug addiction.
You need to overcome addiction. You need to overcome an addiction to what?
Alcohol.
Drugs and alcohol. What else?
Some people are addicted to
One of the issues when I tell people you need to stay away from old people, places, and things, people get defensive sometimes. Why is that?
Because that's who they feel like they love those people.
Yeah, they love those people. What actually is going on?
They got caught doing something.
Y'all only just getting high
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. But here's the deal: we're not just addicted to the drug that we're addicted to. We're addicted to those old people.
Right.
We're addicted to those old places. We're addicted to the old things. Y'all want me to tell y'all a story real quick? And guess where I was Friday night? Huh?
The bar.
I was in a bar.
Was she
No.
really?
I was in a bar Friday night. They had a group there that was, I don't know, it was some old lady, and she was singing so loud, it was terrible. And people around me were drinking, getting drunk, and all of that stuff. And I'm going, oh my God, am I in the wrong place? Was I in the wrong place?
I think you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter had a birthday. It's her 52nd birthday. And I've never been to a Tio Juanita's.
Oh, I love
I
Tio
will
Juanita.
never look at that. I love eating Tio Juanita. I am never going back to that. That is nothing. That is nothing but a bar. It was horrible. Her husband set up a surprise birthday party for her. And so we went over there, and they said, okay, it's going to be over here. So when we went back there immediately, you look at that, there's a dance floor, there's this old lady who, I'm going to be singing tonight. And all of this, and the girl across in front of me, she ordered her a drink, and she said, hey, this is too sweet. So she drank it all. And then she ordered a different type of drink, and she said, hey, this is kind of bitter, and she kept. But she drank it all, And so when my daughter walked in, she somehow another kin to her, somehow another, I don't know. She said, happy birthday. Everybody, it was terrible. So it was horrible. But that was a challenge. So what do you think we did?
Well.
Yeah, they bought food for us, so we eat. So we got us, at the moment we started eating our meal, we picked it all up and put it in a to-go box, and we were out of there. I went by, my daughter walked us out, but she came back. We weren't there 10 minutes. Because when I'm in a place where I can overcome. See, years ago, sitting there, they'd have had to carry me out because I'd have quit drinking when the booze ran out. But I overcame that, so I got out of there just as quickly as I could. I want to read this real quickly because we're just about out of time. It says, look, describe a challenge you're currently facing in your recovery. Do we have challenges in our recovery?
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's the biggest challenge you have in your recovery?
About the same thing.
About the people.
Just what, old people, places, and things, and just what you said earlier, leaving here. When you leave Land Manor, you're going to be outside of the place where people who say you can't do that, you're not supposed to do it. Make your bed. You can't do those things, and we're going to go out there and we're never making a bed again. That's just it. We're sleeping on the couch. But we're not going to have anybody that says you can't, except you and your higher power. That's why you have to have that. You have to be an overcomer. You have to have a higher power help you to be that overcomer. How can your spiritual beliefs and practices help you to overcome any challenges in your life? Because your higher power is a higher power than you are, and he can help you to overcome that. How do you overcome it? Ask.
Your sponsor.
Ask. Your sponsor will help, but he's not your higher power. Ask your higher power, and he will be, he will be part of your life. I appreciate y'all. Y'all did a good job. We're